So, just a quick one. How do you identify if your partner or your best friend or even a parent is a narcissist? It's a word that's used a lot these days and probably bandied about a little bit too much, when it can mean somebody who's just selfish or is exhibiting narcissistic behaviour, not as a normal way of being, but just going through a rough patch and that's their default mode. There could be all sorts of other things going on for them, but these days anybody who behaves selfishly seems to be marked down as a narcissist. So here's how you know: is your boyfriend or your girlfriend or your husband or your wife or your parent or your best buddy a narcissist, and should you walk away? So there's a few very easily identifiable things, but they all have to kind of come together. So if your partner is very arrogant, there's a sort of a sense of maybe entitlement in their attitude, that these are things that should be bestowed upon them because of who they just are in life. You know, strong egotistical kind of tendencies. There's a possibility. If they have big ideas and sort of fantasies about themselves, like I know I'm always going to be really wealthy. I know I'm going to be the best person in my group of friends. I know I'm going to be the richest. You know, anything that sets them apart from the crowd and helps them to feel special. So be careful of that. Be careful of people who talk to you about saying you're special and they're special and your relationship is special. None of us really are special. We're all lovely, we're all wonderful, we're all great, we're all miserable, we're all everything, okay? So anybody who tells you that they're special, they're different, they're one of the chosen few, they're set for something bigger and better in life, be careful. Their relationships are very exploitative. So if you feel like somebody's using you, say you've got a girlfriend, let's say you're a girl and one of your best girlfriends says to you all the time where she wants to go, what she wants to do. And when it comes to your turn, it's a bit kind of, got a headache, don't really feel like it. You know, it's kind of like she makes you feel bad for wanting your say. Be careful. You know, there's, like I say, not one of these is a sign on its own of narcissism, but put them together and it's a pretty good picture. Another one that narcissistic friends often do rather than partners is they'll treat you like a ticket over the door. So it'll be like, do you fancy coming to so-and-so's party on Saturday night? And you're like, no, I don't really like them. I've never really liked them. I'm not interested. Oh, go on. You love it. It'll be really great. Oh, I'd love you to be there. It's so important for me to be there, or for me to have you there. So they go to the party with you, and you're reluctant in the first place to go. And then the next thing, they're off talking to somebody else and you don't see them for the rest of the night and having a great time. And you want to go home because you're fed up. And they don't care what you want. They're staying on, or they're going to another party, or they're doing whatever the hell they like. Yeah. Unfortunately, you will feel like you're their supporter, their keeper, their taxi driver, their bank manager, their personal therapist. You name it. Yes, it's an exploitative and superficial relationship, and if somebody else comes along who does a better job than you're doing, you will be fired, you'll disappear, and somebody else will take your place very quickly. But I can guarantee that relationship will be as superficial as the one that they had with you. They're exploitative in the sense that it's always about them and what they can get and how they can make sure that they're happy in life, and trouble is they're never really happy. It's a bit of a bottomless pit because they're really wanting to feed their ego all the time, and the ego is never satisfied. There's a big difference between ego and self-esteem. Self-esteem is coming from within you, and ego is what you rely on from the world outside. Here's my notes here that I was making earlier. So what else had I written down? Yeah, think Dracula. Do you ever feel like you've been in somebody's company and they've just sucked the blood from out of you and left you like a little empty corpse in the corner? Bit vivid of an image, but yeah, energy vampires. Yeah, and another thing about them is that there's a very empty space where empathy would normally be. So you're in trouble and you need them to stand up for you or help you out, and they don't understand, and they might, if they're very good and they're very plausible and they've been at this a long time, you know, they're kind of older, they're more likely to be able to fool you into thinking they really do care, and it's awful and it's just dreadful, and they would drop everything for you and be with you if only they could, but they really, really can't, because they've really got this issue going on with themselves at the moment. You know, they've got this awful splinter that they got in their foot, or yeah, as one of my friends who I've been working with said, yeah, they just ate too many cookies to come to your party. Sorry, I overdid the cookies, I couldn't come, I was feeling sick. You'll find that they have the most lame excuses not to be there for you when you need them. So it's one-sided, it's a one-way street. So that's another very, very strong indicator where you sense no real empathy there for you. They have a very poor sense of self. So, you know, the type of girls or women who just spend their entire lives looking good physically, trying to stay ahead of the game all the time, like don't want to have wrinkles, don't want to show any sign of aging, don't want to look in any way less than, don't want to look ordinary in any way, always have to be looking just a bit better than everybody else in the room. A narcissist is the sort of a woman who will go to a wedding dressed in white and try to outshine the bride. Narcissistic men will have probably slightly more, it's about what they have, it's about what car they drive or what their income is. I'm not to say that those are mutually exclusive, but they just kind of fall into those categories. So if you're with somebody that's like that, yeah, that's a pretty good indicator as well. But the thing is that they have such a poor sense of self that they rely completely on the outside world to give them feedback. So the other, of course, the flip side of that is the minute somebody insults them or shows them up for being selfish or pops their bubble in any other way, they get very nasty, they get mean, they get nasty, and they bear grudges like nobody else can, and they'll remember. And it's never their fault. Narcissists are never wrong, and they're never to blame for anything, so be very careful of that. There's an emptiness in them if they don't have that constant kind of flow of admiration and that kind of sense of being center stage. If they don't have that, there's a horrible emptiness in them, and they'll do anything to fill. And they have a very difficult life transition. So if you know somebody who's really, really bad at holding down a job and will tell you that it's always their boss's fault, one after the other. Oh, I always get miserable bosses. None of them ever understand me. This one was an asshole. This one was a bastard. This one was this. This one was this. Yeah, everybody gets difficult bosses. Everybody works with assholes, you know. But somebody who repeatedly will tell you the same thing over and over and over and over again, or that all their girlfriends, some guy says to you, oh yeah, oh no, all my girlfriends, all my wives have been complete bitches. They've done this to me, they've done that to me, and they give you a big long sob story. Yeah, another indicator. Now, like I said, none of these things on their own means they're a narcissist, but you start to piece some of these together, you're very likely to be going down that road. So and as I was saying in my other video, I was talking a little bit specifically about a relationship with a narcissist, you know, an intimate relationship, is when you argue with them, they'll end up making you feel like you were to blame for everything, and that not only that, but you have a real big problem. And they can be so manipulative in that respect, that they manipulate you into doubting yourself. We all have an inner sense of what's right and what's not right. But I'll tell you what, if you're with somebody and they're very, very good at doing that, they're very good at manipulating you, you will just be like a little pawn in the chess game, and they'll move you wherever they want, and you'll end up thinking, maybe they're right, because they're plausible, they may well be very intelligent, and they will be working you. If you can imagine, they've got their hand like you're a puppet right up your backside, and they're working you. If you get the sense that your own true identity or your integrity is being brought into question, and it just goes against the grain what they're saying about you, they're probably a narcissist, and they're probably working very hard to make sure that they come out on top. Generally, they're so good at it, they will. And you'll be just another statistic. You'll be the other girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever. You'll be the ex-wife or the ex-husband that was an asshole or was this, that, and the other. When it comes to parenting, it's totally different, because you can't, as a child, get up and walk away. And that's another thing that we'll make a different video about. But that's just the things to look out for. So, listed off very quickly, they're arrogant. Okay, they want to be center stage. They have grandiose plans. They're a fantasist. They're constantly seeking attention from you and from everybody else. I mean, it's just their attention whores, really. They have very exploitative relationships. They make sure that they get everything they can. They squeeze you dry. So, like as I say, they're the Draculas. They don't have any empathy for you. They don't stand by you. They don't come up with anything of any substance whenever you're in need. They have such a poor, fragile sense of self that they rely so much on other people's opinions of them. They're always attention seeking and value seeking and checking in that the outside world still loves them. And they feel very, very empty without that kind of admiration. They don't do well with life transitions like new jobs, new relationships, new houses, new whatever, new projects. And when they fail, they're always somebody else's fault. And I think, as I say, the most important one is they're manipulators who will mess with your view of yourself. And that's, I think, where the most damage is done. Anything else you can look at and say, well, that's just them. They're doing their thing. If I don't want to listen, that's fine. But the really damaging bit is when they get to you and they manipulate you and move you around like a chess piece and make you feel completely baffled and lost and bewildered and lacking any kind of confidence in your own decisions and your own judgment. So yeah, if you get 3 or 4 of those, you're probably with a narcissist. If you get all 6 of them, yeah, time to walk away, time to get into therapy, or time to call me, or time to, I don't know, time to do something to get yourself out of it. It doesn't have to be me, just do something to move out of it. Okay, thanks for listening.